Hey friends, it's Mauricio. This is episode 24 of Ordinary Heroes. I named this podcast Ordinary Heroes very intentionally because while we often look up to well known leaders, pastors, or public figures, the people who impact us the most are usually not on a stage. They are ordinary people. People who, day in and day out, walk faithfully with God. People who live quietly, consistently, obediently. And in my book, they are my heroes because they point me back to Him. Today, I want to introduce to you one of them. I call her Mama Assaly. Her family calls her Teta. She's the mother of one of my closest friends, and she lives in Lebanon. I met her about 18 years ago. I was still single, staying at my friend's house. One morning, I was sitting on the floor, reading my Bible. She walked in, looked at me. She came close, gently touched my hand, and with the warmest expression, even though she didn't speak much English, she looked at me and said, "You keep doing that." She didn't say much, but I felt it, her heart, her sincerity, and that moment stayed with me. Recently, I had the chance to see her again. Her flight had been canceled multiple times because the airport in Lebanon was shut down due to the ongoing conflict. Missile strikes, instability, entire neighborhoods affected. Even in recent weeks, civilians have been caught in violence, homes damaged, and families displaced. So when I heard she was finally coming to the US, I didn't think twice. I drove 2 hours just to sit with her, and I told her how much that moment meant to me from years ago. She smiled and said that when she saw me praying back then, she felt led to say those words. Mama Sally lost her husband 4 years ago. Today, she cares for her elderly mother. She leads Bible studies, she serves. And as we sat together, she began sharing what she has experienced, not years ago, but recently. She told me that she was resting one day when suddenly a massive explosion shook the area. A missile had struck a nearby neighborhood. She felt the ground shake. Smoke and dust filled the air. And she said something that stopped me. She said she felt safe. So, so I asked her, "How do you feel safe in that moment? Don't you fear for your life?" She said, "No." And then she told me a story I will never forget. Years ago, when she was pregnant with my friend, there was another conflict. They had to evacuate their home and run to a shelter. As they were running, there were snipers shooting at people trying to enter. She said people were falling to her left and to her right. Her husband was urging her to run, but because she was advanced in her pregnancy, she stopped for a moment and froze. And in that moment, she said it felt like time stopped. She could see bullets hitting the ground around her, but she was not touched. She made it through. And she told me that moment over 40 years ago marked her. From that day on, she knew God had a plan for her, and she could trust Him to protect her, not because of anything in her, but because of who He is. When you meet Mama Sally, you notice something immediately. There's a light about her, a peace, a closeness with God, a kind that only comes from walking with Him daily. I remember sitting with her last week, listening to her stories, completely captivated. And then she said, "If you excuse me, I need to speak with Him." I said, "Who?" She said, "The Lord." I said, "Yes, ma'am." So I left. Later that day, she came back to me and said, "The Lord told me this." I stopped everything and said, "I'm listening." She asked me to read a verse, Jeremiah 52:16, and I will read it for you. But Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, left some of the poorest of the land to be vine dressers and farmers. Now, this chapter describes the fall of Jerusalem, destruction, loss, exile. But in the middle of that, there's one small detail. It says that the poorest people were left in the land to care for it, to work it, to remain. Everyone else was taken, but they were left. So when we read it together, this is what she said.
He left them in the land. He didn't take them. Why the farmers, they come and they work in the land. The Lord wants them to work there.
Yeah.
These people who their heart are there, they left them. He didn't take them away with him. So you are protected when you serve the Lord. You don't know that He is serving you. He serves you because He's protecting you. He kept them safe. When you serve the Lord, you listen to His word, you give others to eat from His word, planting and harvest.
But sometimes bad things happen.
Yes, of course, it happens. I don't deny that, but with God's people, there's something that comes easily. When you live daily with the Lord, things, the hardest come easily.
Because you have the Lord.
Yes, you can go through without feeling that depression and the bad feelings. Once you come to the Lord and you talk to Him, you see your tears becomes happiness. It transforms to
Yes,
peace. So every problem you come through it's easy with Him.
What struck me wasn't just what she said. It was what God has done in her life. She's not speaking from theory. She's speaking from experience, from loss, from danger, from real life. And yet, there's peace. So maybe the takeaway isn't that life gets easier. Maybe it's that when you walk closely with God, He carries you differently through it. If you're in a hard season right now, if things feel uncertain, don't rush past that. Draw closer, because sometimes the protection of God doesn't remove you from the situation. He sustains you in it. And maybe that is an invitation for all of us, not to have perfect conditions, but to walk closely enough with God that even in the midst of chaos, we can say, I'm safe. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one.